26. We are burning the midnight oil. We had to kind of review what President Trump said tonight, and his speech is amazing, and it was pretty brief. It was pretty brief, right to the point, his speech tonight. So that's what we're going to talk about. This is day 2,174 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, for being a whistleblower. Okay, for being a whistleblower. And the Fort Bliss and his command were infiltrated by cartel. Was it the Juarez cartel? Was it the Sinaloa cartel? Was it the El Paso cartel? I think the Juarez cartel is number one there. And so we were very glad to see um, just what 24 hours ago reporting, well, a little bit more than that, on July 15th, uh, that President Trump's administration through the U.S. Treasury designated the Juarez cartel a foreign terroristic organization and a specialized global terroristic organization, which will uh, put its designation um, in the category of the Sinaloa cartel and the CJNG cartel in order to um, freeze their assets. Okay, freeze their assets. So we're talking about major players in El Paso that are at risk, and I hope they're at the top of the list of freezing their assets while they are being investigated for the worst type of crimes, just absolutely the worst type of crimes against humanity. So, Richard was whistleblowing on that, and of course, it had so much to do with the Watchical, which is the fuel theft, which is, you cannot discuss Watchical without other trafficking. You can't discuss the Watchical and the other trafficking, like the child sexual exploitation trafficking, like the human trafficking, like the weapons trafficking, like the drug trafficking, all of that. Let's just lump it all together and say criminal trafficking, even though I don't like to do that because people need to know specifically what's going on, right? I mean, even MREs were being stolen. Everything's being stolen. Now I got a report and I um of a anti-tank rocket launcher being apprehended during an arrest in Juarez, Mexico. Where did that come from? I mean, my bet is it came from Fort Bliss. Okay. So we're talking very specifics that people need to know, what the fraud, what the theft, what the trafficking is all about, and it's not separated from the watchical, the fuel theft, and it's not separated from the election interference and fraud and tampering. Okay, all of it goes together. Uh, you don't have one without the other. It's a system. It's it is a cartel. It's how the cartels operate. It's um their parallel government. That's what that is. So when when I say, oh, that's connected to Richard's case and that's connected to Richard's case, I'm being absolutely correct on that because they were doing one thing to protect another thing so they can do another thing. And it's their system, it's their criminal system. So that's why everything is so connected. And we're talking about a parallel economy, which makes it even more risky because then our countries start depending on these parallel criminal economies, and then we're in real trouble. Then we're in real trouble because they start destroying a real legal and vibrant economy in favor of a criminal, uh, inhumane economy. And so that's why it gets very, very dangerous, and it is an absolute national security emergency. This is a national security emergency. And that's where this is all going. And that this is why this is so important. So Richard was absolutely reporting on the trafficking, on the child sexual exploitation. That's why he was calling CPS multiple times. Um, but he was also reporting on the watchicle because the watchicle, and I hope I'm saying it right, it's the fuel theft of the Pemex fuel. And this is what's kind of dangerous in Mexico. If I lived in Mexico, I would vote not to have Pemex, absolutely to privatize it because they're using taxpayer funds to get the oil and the gas to, and then though, and then you think, okay, then the people own it, but it's being tapped out. It's being tapped. I think it's like 51 taps per minute or something. Um, eh, eh, they are stealing it faster than you could put it in the pipeline. So then, you have the outright theft, and then you have to pay for it again because you have to pay for the stolen fuel at the Grupa Carvel or the Arco gas station, right? Um, and then you have to pay for it through government contracts because they sell the stolen fuel to Maru Campos's administration to fuel the police department. So the police force, right? So this is, I think it's really is impoverishing the Mexicans in Mexico. Really, it's just it's a very hard hit, and especially when then the fuel gets funneled, piped into the United States to be refined through like Marathon Refinery or other refineries, and then they have to clean that money, that fuel, and they have to do it with fraudulent paperwork, fraudulent companies, or maybe even the United States Army there at Fort Bliss. Is that what they were using it for? So, Richard was absolutely, because of the connections in the evidence, absolutely confirms that this was about the fuel theft. So it was about the trafficking, it was about the fuel theft. So Fast and Furious plus the Pemex Watchical plus Iran Contra, right? It's all there. It's all been growing, and people know. People are getting it. It's so much so that President Trump has known this for a long time. How do we know? Because, of course, his intelligence, um, uh, ability to access that, is the highest it can be. And we have also filed all of the information that we have gathered in our investigation. So we know that it's all on record. We know for 100% because we put it there. And we have it all documented and recorded that we put it there. So that's why we know that the administration, that the FBI, that the CIA, that the law enforcement, that they absolutely have what they need to investigate. Hard evidence to investigate. And so for President Trump to come out and say and call for the investigations, it is a huge development because I don't think any other president has ever done this, right? They haven't done this because the corruption and the compromise is so deep. The compromise is so deep, and the risk, only President Trump, with his um, economic background, his business background, could in 1.5 years with like jet propulsion energy, um, get the economy running again, get the oil, right? He got the oil. He stopped the oil flow enough, the theft enough, right? It's not totally, but enough to leverage to grow our economy, our real, legitimate economy that is good for us, right? That will make America strong. He grew it enough now. You can see it with the low numbers coming in for inflation. Um, and also all of the um, factories that are now being built and everything in order to actually do something about the fraud and the crime and the theft and all the scamming and the parallel cartel criminal um, government system, right? So because when you run this parallel government, parallel system, that is, handling billions of dollars, it is very risky for any president to go after it and then totally implode the nation's economy. So he had to first grow our economy and set the foundation for a thriving, legitimate economy to go after the criminals. And so it puts everything in perspective why he couldn't just perp walk. That's the language that's being used right now after this speech. When are the perp walks? He couldn't just perp walk right when he got in January 20th of 2025. He went after the cartels. He went after the fuel theft. He went after the parallel criminal system. And what we found that was very interesting, and of course, he went after Maduro for many reasons. And a main reason that he mentioned is the um, the ability through the high-tech systems like the Pegasus software. Remember, Maru Campos is employing in Chihuahua the Pegasus software that does the data harvesting so they can hack into even election material, right? Not just your phone, not break through every password like it does, but it also can hack into election um, election data. So absolutely, what he was saying is that uh, that China was evidence confirmed that China was tampering with elections. And he also mentioned, well, and there's other countries that are involved, and he said that I am going to expose it tonight, right? I'm going to put up the paperwork tonight. So you can go to the White House online site, and you can go um, uh, it's called uh, the White House election integrity. And I've posted up the link to that, but you can just Google it, White House integrity. And you can read the documents yourself and review, who did what, and you can see all the cheating that has been going on. And we can say that there was a lot of cheating because our evidence confirms that the Walmart mass shooting was used to weaponize it. It was very bloody, to weaponize it to uh, target President Trump, to attack President Trump, to sabotage the 2020 election in favor of Beto O'Rourke. Um, Absolutely, the anti-Second Amendment, um, the open border policy candidate was Beto O'Rourke. And so he absolutely uh, used that incident to get a lot of donations. He got a lot of donations right after that. But he's such a bad candidate, and he's so anti-Americana, right, with this anti-Second Amendment. We absolutely, in the United States, uh, love our Second Amendment, the right to bear arms and protect ourselves, right? To protect ourselves. So this, he doesn't want us to have that right, Beto O'Rourke. But the Walmart mass shooting was absolutely orchestrated to interfere with the 2020 election, against and attacking President Trump. There's no ands, if, buts, no excuses. That's what it was. And it doesn't matter who you like or who you don't like. The evidence confirms that's what it is. And so this was really important to hear uh, what President Trump had to say about this election integrity and election interference, that became very, very violent, right? Very violent. 23 dead, 22 injured. Um, yeah. So this was very important. And of course, our son and Glennon Oakley Jr., we can't forget um, what happened uh, to in order to orchestrate this, to um, frame the narrative, the false narrative, and everything, and the people that had to be hurt and even die. Um, yeah, we can't forget that. So this was a very really a very important speech. And so I'm going to dive into it because Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room, taken downstairs to the arms room where they took his life and they traffic his body over to Mexico. And we still do not have his remains. Yes, we have the declaration of killed in the line of duty on Fort Bliss, but we do not have Richard's remains. And so there's no excuse for that being killed on Fort Bliss. Um, and the act of war that followed, right? So you have this major crime, and the whole thing was treasonous. The whole thing was treasonous, and a plot to silence someone that did not want election interference. And that was Richard. He did not want election interference. So he was reporting on the Walmart mass shooting that's connected to his unit, connected to Fort Bliss, the infiltration of cartel that are involved in this tech cartel activity. Absolutely tech cartel activity and beyond. And so the paperwork that you will see, the documents that are uploaded on whitehouse.gov election integrity it's really points out to something we thought was very interesting. Of course, we knew that China had influence. We knew that Iran had influence. We knew that Korea has influence. Those are our enemies. Of course, the enemies will want to tamper with our elections, will want to interfere with our elections. That's no question. But then he talks about the tech cartels. And this is coming right after designating the Juarez cartel, that has a lot of tech cartels in it, as a FTO. And of course, I've talked about um, our casualty affairs officers, CAO, uh, um, Lyons, Joshua Lyons, absolutely pulling asymmetric warfare, really tech cartel level activity. And it is no coincidence that Jonathan Caleb Ambrose, who was in 143 ADA, he was in 143 ADA. Okay, he was deployed with 143 ADA on Fort Bliss, that he was a cyber technician, a cybersecurity technician. And I posted up one piece of evidence on that. We have so much evidence on him, and he is a fugitive for a good reason. He has a lot to run away from. But he can't run forever. The world is a small place now. And so he absolutely is part of this tech cartel, and he was arrested for it. I mean, it's documented that he was um, scamming El Pasoans, right? Trying to even sell houses that don't even belong to him, had no, you know, just a lot of fraud, a lot of fraud. And here they are. Here they are. There's Jonathan Ambrose. He gained some weight there. But this is Danae Katzenambrose. She gained some weight there. I met with her. She was a total scammer. She absolutely is a total liar, scammer, fraudster. And the evidence is overwhelming on that. But Jonathan Ambrose, and let's see if I can get close on this. I don't know if I can get close. No, you have to go. But anyway, he's a techie. He was all his training and everything, and even AI before AI even came out. Um, so that tells you that he was being very techie. So, the tech cartel that President Trump uh, put out today in detail uh, on the White House website under election integrity. So these are hackers, and we know in Richard's case there were a lot in what they did to us, a lot of hackers to cover up everything, and there was so much tampering with files and everything. And this is what these tech cartel do, and so he's going to hold them accountable. That was really, really good, very, very good news today, that he's going to hold them accountable. And so not only the Juarez cartel, but the tech cartel also. And Richard's case is all about that. Because in order to pull off what they did, um, they had to tamper through technology with Richard's files, with the CID files, with law enforcement files, with Interpol files, everything. I can go on and on and on about all of the tech cartel interference that has happened in Richard's case. It's very real, And we're very happy that President Trump is going after that. So, because they can really try to destroy you, with false narratives and everything, like they did with President Trump, like they did with our whistleblower, Judge Roger Rodriguez. They, use their platforms and their tech savvy stuff to target the good guys, right? To target the good guys that were whistleblowing. Um, okay, so the other really that's the major big news for today, and it makes you realize what Connell Wetton, being the lead Mormon mafia, um who he had to hire, the likes of Michael Mayella, right? Patrick Crusius's brother-in-law. Patrick Crusius, the alleged shooter in the Walmart mass shooting. So you see that he had to hire Michael Mayella, the advertised hacker, cybersecurity hacker, right? And of course, Tuganon Chan and his brother Jed, they are also this tech cartel, the stuff that tech cartel are made out of, and of course, so many more, so many more. So when you have FitFem El Paso, which is the Chan brothers, and El Paso Matters, and Al Diario and KTSM, all of them being using their technology and everything to attack, to weaponize it. It's very, very criminal. So President Trump said that he's looking for perp walks now, and so we'll see. We'll see. We don't want to celebrate too quick, but we are in a very, very good spot. Very good spot to get accountability and for the repatriation of Richard's remains. Okay, so let's see if I have any comments. Okay, Laura, thank you so much for your prayers and your love, and yes, and targeting them. And then Danielle, thank you for your prayers and justice. It's wonderful. And then Carissa, thank you so much. We are praying continually for you. Keep fighting for justice for Richard. Thank you for all your insightful information. Thank you for coming on and paying attention and sharing all this information. And it is, I have to say, our sources are very, very good. And 6 years doing this, we don't monetize, because we want to be able to say what we want to say. When you monetize, there are restrictions, and that's why you see that with other podcasters and everything. They have a lot of restrictions, but they want to make a living, right? And they have to make a living, and I don't blame them. So we have not monetized, and that's why you can see some really good information coming out of here, because what I see and hear from podcasters is that they are naming names, but they're talking about trafficking. They're talking about the drug trafficking and the child exploitation, the sexual exploitation trafficking. They're talking about the weapons trafficking and the ammunition trafficking, the anti tank rocket launcher in Juarez, right? That's what they're talking about. And that is really, really important. But they're not talking about the Mormon Mafia, right? Which is very important in all of this, whether we like it or not. They talk about Israel, they talk about Christians, they talk about Christians, the Roman Catholic. They'll do that. They'll talk about Muslims, right? Mohammedans. They'll talk about that, but they will not even go near the Mormon Mafia. And look at Connell Wetton. He's like the biggest Mormon Mafia with Leilani Hart, protecting Leilani Hart and her child sexual exploitation. They won't even touch that. And it's big because it's in the CIA, it's in the FBI, it's in the CBP and DEA and ATF, and you name it. They have infiltrated in that those very critical intelligence and law enforcement, the exact thing that President Trump was warning about in today's speech. The intelligence community and the law enforcement community, learning all these tech things, and weaponizing them politically, and to interfere with elections, because you have to have your people in these positions that are elected positions, and that's why they want to tamper with that. And so it's very, very clear that we have to say it, because they're not going to say it. And then to say that it's all about the oil and gas. It's all about the oil and gas, because that's what funds all the trafficking. So you have to say that the money laundering and everything is the watchicle that funds the trafficking, and the trafficking then being the secondary money aspect of all of this that's being laundered. Okay, so that's really important, because I don't hear anyone else saying it. So please share that information. It's very important, and it absolutely fits like a glove with what everything that President Trump is doing and saying. So thank you so much. Yes, hallelujah. That was, we've had really two great, wonderful days of moving steps forward. Um, and we'll take them. We'll take all of them, because justice grinds slowly, but it grinds fine. And we don't want to do this any other way than the proper way, through justice, using our laws. And and that is with a very corrupt and compromised uh, um, people in those job descriptions, right? We have very compromised individuals, but the system itself is there, and it's there for us, like the Second Amendment, like the First Amendment, like our laws, our established laws. They're there for us, and you just have to keep filing, and have faith that someone like President Trump will come along and move this forward. And if God's on your side, who can be against you? So this is really moving forward. We've had leaps in the last 2 days, and that is really, really important to our son's case, and the vicious negotiations for the repatriation of our son's remains from Mexico. Okay. So thank you so much, Carol. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. Our numbers are, uh, you know, we need to reach out there. We need to have a broad reach, to get this information out there, because that's important in getting accountability and getting more action. And that's why the enemy spends so much money on all of these podcasters, right? These influencers, because that's how you move cases forward to get accountability, and to get things done. So we're very appreciative of everyone coming on and leaving comments and sharing our information. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye. And God bless President Trump for doing what he's doing. It's just